Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and
Lark.
Welcome. You're finally getting to see our ugly mugs. Hey, awesome. So why are we here? What are we doing? Well, back in December, I made a little challenge to you guys. I wanted you to try to get our sub count to 27.2 thousand. And not only did we make it, we surpassed it. We got to 27.3 before the end of the month. And now, as I'm recording this, we're almost at 27.5. So we've been growing exponentially. I'm so proud of you guys. This has been awesome. So as a reward, I thought we'd not only do a Q&A video, but you'd get to see me and Lark do it, since some of y'all have wondered what we look like. And I've done a face reveal video in the past, but some of y'all don't remember it or haven't seen it, and none of you have seen Lark yet.
Well, there was one thing. I walked in briefly for like a nanosecond, then I bounced back out.
Well, either way, most of you probably haven't seen us or him, so I thought we'd go ahead and do this video. Now, a couple things that I want to say before we get started. We're going to try to keep these answers as short as possible so that we can get through all of them, because there are 75 comments, I think, on the post that we made, so we got a lot to get through. Secondly, my camera is right here, but the screen where I'm going to be reading the questions is up there. So if my eyes dart up there or Lark's dart up there, it's not because we're looking off to see God, but because we're actually checking the questions. And also, just so you know, Lark is actually not taller than me. It's the chair that he's sitting on.
Let me enjoy it while I can, dang it.
All right, so without any further ado, let's get into the first question. So, pulling up the questions here. First up, we've got a question from Sea-Dog the Pro for Raven. Hey, Sea-Dog. Would you ever consider doing collabs with other For Honor content creators? And will you ever do follow-up videos to some of your older response videos to give us insight on how a situation turned out? Well, thank you for the question. First of all, would I ever do collabs with For Honor content creators? I have done a few. I did a few with Slanderous in the past. I did one with General Fujikiyo. And I also got Vita Neon to do the video for my Daubeny video. So I have done content with other content creators in the past, just not a whole lot. And a lot of that's because I'm one of the only content creators who does history and narrative. Most others do gameplay, mechanics, and balancing. And that's just not my forte. It's not what I'm good at. I'd love to do more collabs with content creators. I'd love to. I just don't know what we do because I'm not great at the game. And as for response video situation turn-ups, the problem is no one's ever really responded to my response videos, except one guy. We had one guy who watched our Warhammer response video, and oh my gosh.
Just, we could go into the amount of detail he got wrong, but we don't have time for that, unfortunately.
Basically what he did was he watched 5 minutes of our Warhammer video, said, "This is bad," and then did a live stream of himself responding to the whole thing. And he called me obtuse, he called me ignorant, he said
just about every insult under the sun, and then had the audacity at the end, like, "I hope we can open a constructive dialogue."
Yeah, that was the part that got me laughing. He sent me a comment saying, "I hope we can have a dialogue about this."
Look, listen, if you hate us, hate us. Don't try and sugarcoat that hate. Just,
well, I'm not sharing his name. I'm not sharing a link to the video.
Mostly because we forget it.
Well, not only that, but because, frankly, there's no need. The video should go the way of the dodo and be forgotten, because what he said at the very end is, "I hope I can get some clout off this." And I'm like, no, I'm not giving you any attention. I'm just mentioning you now so that people know that I've gotten a response video before. But other than that, I can't think of very many people who've responded to me.
Only in comments, never in videos.
Right. All right, well, thank you, Sea-Dog. Let's move on to the next one from Deanie. I think I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right?
You're the English guy here.
Deanie, to Raven, would you be open to no new heroes in For Honor next year if it meant that the team could concentrate on updating current heroes so everyone has the same number of executions, armor sets, etc.? Love your work, Raven, plus anyone else that assists you, of course. Your hero and history and execution grading are my particular favorites. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to doing more heroes in history when the new hero comes out, and I'm still working on the executions grading, so thank you so much for your comment there. As for next year, would I be okay with no new heroes if it meant all that stuff? Sure. I think the problem is they want to release new heroes, and I don't mind that, but through releasing new heroes, sometimes they forget to add content to other things. I think the world of For Honor is growing. We've gotten Egypt, we've gotten Arabia, and there's still more that we could get. So I'd like to see them explore these areas and release new maps, or maybe expand on some of the heroes they already have. The Wu Lin have been very underappreciated, for example. But then again, I guess after Marching Fire, the community said that what they liked about the Wu Lin, and it was very little. So
predictable.
I have a feeling the Wu Lin won't be getting much in the future. But regardless of that, I'd love to see some new stuff. And if that means stopping the new heroes for a while, So be it. I'd be okay with that. The problem is the community would lose their mind. Oh, no new heroes. Oh, you just don't care about us, Ubisoft. But then they could release a new hero every season. Oh, you're just releasing new heroes and we're not getting any updates or balancing. Oh, you hate us. There's no winning.
Yeah, there's just some people you can't make happy, and that's the problem.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for the question, Beanie. Next up is Daniel G. for Raven. If you had to pick a fantasy or sci-fi universe to be born in Isekai style, which one would you choose? Ooh.
Good luck, buddy.
Oh, that's a tough one. There are very few. There are very few that I'd want to be born into because most of them suck.
Not like the story or narrative is bad, just like the implications of
like, for example,
world.
40K has a cool narrative. I wouldn't want to be born into it.
Nope.
I guess maybe Elder Scrolls. Maybe.
Honestly, Elder Scrolls would probably be the most like chill back and content. Like I would have no problems. Like I could fade into the background if I wanted, or do a little light adventuring.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. I can't think of many. And if you're talking about anime worlds, I can't think of many.
Just pick generic anime isekai number 31416 because at this point they're interchangeable, and I'm assuming I'd wind up in a tavern where somebody tells me I have to kill a demon lord, but it's not a high priority.
Yeah. All right. So, and then next follow-up question for Raven and Lark. Okay. So both of us. Okay.
I get to be included.
Yes, you do. Was there something specific that got you guys into history, or was it just a broad interest? Okay. Lark, you start this one.
Originally, believe it or not, when I was little Fellner, I was very much interested into science. I told everyone I was going to be a paleontologist when I grow up because I like dinosaurs because, that's the personality I chose when I was 3. But when I got into 4th grade, my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Bowman, who remains my favorite teacher, she really got me interested into history and really started to make me feel more interested in the concept of, historical passing time, like all the cool stories that came around it. Because dinosaurs are cool, don't get me wrong, but there's like epic deeds of real people doing real things that have implications on us to this day. Because a Tyrannosaurus, killed another dinosaur, that really doesn't affect us in the modern day because it's been such a large passage of time. But, the events of the past of humans has very real implications, even if you go back 2,000, 3,000 years. And the other thing that really got me into history, that really cemented me and just sort of trapped me in the history forever, would probably be historical video games. Assassin's Creed, definitely, but before that, Total War Rome, or Rome Total War, rather, and Age of Empires, particularly Age of Empires 2. Yeah, I was a sucker for those, and the more I played, I was like, I want to go, is that really real? I want to look into that. And I kind of got sucked in, and the next thing I know, I'm a history major in college.
For me, it was him. He was very much into history very quickly, and I was always kind of interested in history because he was so interested. So I did some minor research, and then I realized that there's very little we know about Asian history, like Japanese, Chinese, Korean. And so I studied that predominantly. But then over time, I started expanding that. I started learning about European history, the Crusader history, stuff like that. And soon I fell in love with medieval and pre-modern history. And so we just started talking. Believe it or not, what we like to do whenever we eat out or go somewhere to eat, we will often just tell each other historical facts that we might not have known about. So it's crazy. We just talk history all the time. You think we talk history too much on the channel? No. We talk it all the time. It's what we do.
Yes, I know. The 2 history YouTubers talking about history. Shocker.
What a surprise. Anyway, thank you, Daniel G, for the question. Next, we have from Matt Hart to Raven. During the Shattered Fates reveal, you said that there were lots of misconceptions around the Crusades and what they did. I was wondering if you had any thoughts like that on the conquistadors and their trips to the New World, meeting and then conquering the Maya, Aztec, and Inca people. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for the next year. God bless. Thank you very much. In answer to the question, in all things regarding history, context has to be understood. The reason I talk about the Crusades and there being a lot of misconceptions is because the Crusades are always used, at least in modern day, to explain Christians are bad and evil and bigoted, but Muslims are pure, good, and victims, and that's just not true on either front. Am I saying the Christians didn't do anything wrong? No, that's not true. They did. Am I saying the Muslims were entirely vicious, feral, monstrous savages? No, I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is that the argument that Christians were just aggressive, evil bigots is not true, and the idea that Muslims were just poor innocent victims who didn't ask for anything No, that's not entirely true either. And so I study and talk about the Crusades so frequently because people don't understand, and in the modern context, people are using the Crusades for the wrong reasons, to try to demonize Christians and to try to uplift Islamic apologetics, which should not be done, at least not in that context. When talking about the conquistadors, though, let's be fair, the conquistadors did some pretty bad things in the Mesoamericas. But let's also keep in mind that when the conquistadors showed up, it's not like the Mesoamericans weren't having trouble amongst themselves. In
Look
fact,
at you, Aztecs.
yeah, when Hernan Cortez showed up and was planning to wipe out the Aztecs, you want to know what a lot of neighboring tribes were doing? May we help you? Like, they did not like the Aztecs. It's not like the Aztecs were pure innocent babes who were just beaten up by the mean Cortez. No, that some of them asked for it, and I'm not saying that all of them did, and I'm not saying that the conquistadors should be, forgiven for all their sins.
No.
But what I am saying is that we cannot look at history and simply say, clear bad guy, clear good guy, bad guy hated forever and ever, good guy eternal victims. We should never do that.
Very few exceptions to that rule.
That almost never happens in history. Not saying that it doesn't. I mean, we can all kind of agree Hitler was kind of a bad
Funny
person.
mustache man. Bad
Funny
guy.
mustache man bad. We can agree on that. But
Both of them. Looking at you, Stalin. You're not getting a pass.
But throughout history, there's always been a gray area. There's always been full context and information that needs to be brought up. So, like, for example, the idea that one side, oh, they're just poor innocent victims. Were they? Like, let's really analyze. What did they do? The Aztecs, poor innocent victims. Oh, yeah, sure. Who practice human sacrifice.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why the Spanish did better against the Aztecs is because they were prioritizing killing, whereas the Aztecs were prioritizing capturing so they could sacrifice people. And guess what? The Spanish won. Of course, they did have, literally thousands upon thousands of help from the other natives who were sick of being sacrificed. So, moral of the story is don't sacrifice people.
Who would have thought? Well, anyway, thank you for the question, Matt Hart. Let's keep going. Next is from the German guy. I wonder where he's from.
I'm going to guess France.
I would have said Spain. Anyway, for Raven, outside of content creation, what made you decide to teach in the beginning? As a teacher myself, I always find this an interesting question to ask other teachers. But inside content creation, what would you say is the most annoying part of it all? Well, thank you for the questions. I wanted to become a teacher because I love public speaking. I love educating. I love teaching people. Because to me, there's nothing more fun or more enjoyable than sharing information with other people and seeing them get enriched or enlightened because of what I have to tell them. I'm not bragging. I have a wealth of information stored up here. I have a very creative mind. And being able to express that and share that with other people is probably my greatest joy. It's one of the reasons why I enjoy YouTube so much. I get to do that in new and creative ways. That's why I wanted to be a teacher, because I thought, what better way to educate and share than to do it professionally and get paid to do it? But I learned very quickly that that's not the way modern education in America is. A lot of the American education system is built around pushing kids through without actually educating them, students who are disrespectful without consequences. Like, it became a hellscape. Going to school and teaching every day turned into a nightmare. I couldn't stand it anymore. And yeah, I just got out of that. I couldn't do it anymore. I don't dislike teaching. I still technically do it on this channel, but I just fell out of that.
Yeah.
I know you're still doing it, and you have your problems too.
Oh shoot, yeah. The thing is, like, there's certain ways like you can dodge around it. Like the private school system is typically private schools are normally better, but yeah, there are a lot of problems. Like, and the worst part is, like, pretty much everybody from like teachers to administrators, we know what the problems are and we have ideas on how to fix it. But the problem is a lot of those are the ones that are pulling the strings, the politicians. Can't agree on what the right thing is, and so it all comes back to funding, and a lot of fighting over is just like, well, if we just had more funding, it's like, we don't spend the money we get already very well.
Right.
So,
well, we weren't here to talk about the education system's flaws. We were here to answer that question. And as for the second part of the question, what is the most annoying part of content creation? There are two things. Editing can be a pain. Sometimes you really want to edit the scene to be just the right way or just the right creativity. And you just can't get it either because you don't have the software to make it happen or because it's just so time consuming. That can be annoying. But the bigger annoying thing is some of the hate I get for things that are outside of my control. Like, I'll get hate because, like, in my Heroes in History videos, Go through a few of them, like the Hitakiri one. And you'll find a comment or two that say, hey man, I have to leave a dislike because even though the history was kind of entertaining, the gameplay was terrible. I can't control that. I'm not good at the game. I've never claimed to be good at the game. I'm a casual gamer who is using the game to teach history. If you don't like that, you don't have to watch the video, but don't say, I'm going to dislike your video because even though what you said is interesting, I'm not going to like it. And then you've also got people who just hate on me for the weirdest reasons. We had this one guy who commented and was very hateful to me and Lark, who literally said he may have a lot of information that's factually correct, but he just doesn't understand the game. And I'm like, it doesn't. And I literally, true story with this idiot. He came to me, and when I was announcing that I was going to do a Zhang Jun Legends video, he said, there's only one Zhang Jun, that's Guan Yu, right? I said, Guan Yu's one of the Zhang Jun, but according to what I understand, there are multiple Zhang Jun. He's like, no, this is fact. This isn't about how you feel about it. This is fact, okay? There's only one Zhang Jun. I'm like, okay, here's the For Honor website where they clearly say that Guan Yu is just a notable Zhang Jun, implying there are more who aren't as notable or they haven't come up with names for yet. And the definition of Zhang Jun on the For Honor website are leaders who do this and this and this, and like implying that there's multiple. This is from the website. Let's agree to disagree. And then he apparently wrote back a comment to me so hateful and bitter, YouTube censored it and I can't see it anymore. And ever since then, he hasn't talked to me.
Yeah, he also claimed that I was morally corrupt because I didn't want to crusade against Ubisoft for various things about For Honor.
Yeah.
Listen, I got beef with Ubisoft for several other things, particularly with Assassin's Creed. That's not the hill I'm going to die on. Like, listen, if you want to go out and you want to do that thing, but probably it's like, I demand you as a content creator do this. Like, you don't get to decide what we do with our content.
Well, more to the point, my issue is, like, talking about what annoys me most, it's these haters who have nothing to criticize. Just like, we want to hate on you, and that's not productive.
Well, haters gonna hate.
Right. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. From Kingslayer, for Raven and Lark, if you can pick 4 new factions to replace the existing 4, not counting Outlanders and For Honor, what would be your choices?
So we're replacing the existing...
We're replacing the Knights, Samurai, Vikings, and Wulin. That's hard to do because those 4 are kind of the big ones.
Those are big ones. Rajput's one we've already talked about.
Right, the Rajput, maybe the Native Americans.
So they're just kind of like one big Mesoamerican faction.
Right.
I guess, apart from the Rajputs, you could also have basically a full-on Arabic faction.
Yeah.
Like, get your Mamelukes in there,
Maybe, Mongolian, maybe? Like,
Mongolian would encompass a lot. Or you could just go for a little bit later. I guess you could go just full Mediterranean, like Roman. Just go classic.
Yeah, go for Rome or Greece.
Byzantium, something like that.
Those would be our pick. All right, moving on. Brother Lorcal the Loyalist says, to Raven. Number 1, if you know of any named Space Marines in Horus Heresy to 40k, which one is your favorite? Gavio Loken of the Luna Wolves. I loved the book Horus Heresy. He was so awesome.
Settle down, Gavi. You're so straight up and down.
I loved him. He was great. Especially, voiced by Toby Longworth. That helps. He's very, very entertaining. And number 2, as a story writer, how will you write a character who is wise beyond their years if you only have limited knowledge on subjects? Oh, you mean like how would I write a character who's incredibly intelligent even though I am not incredibly intelligent? I would do research on the things that I don't know about. Mm-hmm. Simple enough. If I don't know something, I'm going to research it before I start writing about it. Like, I'm not going to approach something and not know what I need to know about it. The key to writing a wise character is, I think that should be the topic of Raven's writing.
That is, but
we'll save it for that, I think.
I would also say the idea of you say you want to write a wise character. Wise is not necessarily just knowledge.
Right.
Wisdom is knowledge's proper application. So
you can be incredibly intelligent but still not be wise.
And yeah, because I've seen incredibly intelligent people. They know a lot of stuff. They still make incredibly stupid decisions.
Correct. Well, thank you for the question, Brother Lorcal. Let's move on. The Lord. Hallelujah. For Raven, how is your economic situation? Hopefully better. It's not the best it could be, if I'm being honest. I'm not in danger of, being completely broke yet. but I'm certainly in a precarious situation, which means that I need to be very, very careful about. Oh, hush. It's just
I did that turn with no judgment.
it could be better. I appreciate all that you guys do for me. Everything you do to support me, be it on Patreon or Teespring or Super Chats or anything like that, it really helps me out. It really, really does. I can't stress that enough. People have said, like, I'd donate $1, but I don't think that'd be enough. Trust me. Every little bit helps. So y'all have been a great help. And I can say this at the very least. I can say that I've kind of evened out a little bit. It's not like I'm losing money faster than I'm making it anymore. But
so he's stabler.
I'm stabler than I was, but I still have a ways to go before I'm back into a comfortable situation. And then for Lark, what is your favorite faction in any game?
Wow, I played a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's, oh gosh. Gosh, that could very much depend on just the day. It'd be easier to do it by franchise, but one that I'm a particular nerd for, if you couldn't already tell, is I really love the UNSC.
There you go.
I am a big fan of the UNSC. Out of all these sci-fis I have read or watched or played or enjoyed through, the UNSC seemed the most realistic in terms of like what would happen like in future space travel and how everything's structured and organized. It's still got its flaws, absolutely, but I think a lot of those flaws were built in due to game design rather than narrative written. Like if you read like the first book of Fall of Reach, the UNSC seems very real and typically like how human the conflict is before the Covenant even shows up. So I really love the UNSC.
All right, we better keep going. We still got lots of questions to go through.
That we do.
From Alea Itsuka for Raven, what do you into writing what got you into writing your own stories, and how do you stay motivated to continue writing? I write my own stories because I've always believed that I want to create new worlds, new characters, new adventures. My mind is always creating new stuff. At first, they were adventures I wanted to go on, but then I just created characters to go on those adventures for me. And what keeps me motivated? Because I never get tired of creating these new worlds and ideas. It's just something that's always in my mind. And then for Lark, did Magnus do nothing wrong? Question. But what is your favorite 40k faction?
To the first one, Magnus. Magnus screwed up. He made the mistake of not just picking up a phone. But I understand why he did what he did. Regardless, though, my favorite 40k faction, probably the Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, as they are called. Some people are irritated when they call the Astra Militarum. I think it's a cool sounding name. I like Latin. But particularly, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Don't get me wrong, I love Space Marines. I love the Primarchs. I love all that stuff. But I like the idea of like, hey, these are just normal humans given like the best equipment they could possibly be given under the circumstances, and that they're fighting Eldritch Horrors, and on occasion even win.
Yep.
I'm a particular sucker for the Death Corps of Krieg.
Yep. All right, well, let's keep going. Harvey Sidhu asks, for Raven, what do you think about people choosing to live a contemplative and monistic lifestyle in the Christian faith? What are your thoughts on monks and nuns who say they have been called by God to live this life? I personally find these people inspiring and interesting because many monks and nuns made a lot of contributions to their societies and to the academic world. For example, Brother Luca Pacioli, inventor of double-entry bookkeeping, and Sister Juana Inez de la Cruz, who had a lot of contributions to Spanish literature. I admire people who are willing to give their life and energy to the cross and to the cloth. They are very inspiring people because they put their faith above everything else. Some people just aren't called to do that. Some people cannot do that. And that's no diss on them, but the people who give up their life and their all their other goals just to give to the cloth, I think that is inspiring, and I very much value people who do that.
Yeah. I would also say there's even a guy on YouTube that I'm not Catholic, but I really like the channel. I believe it's called Upon Friar Review, where basically this friar answers questions about Christianity and Catholicism. It's kind of funny.
All right, well, next one. From Sushi X to Raven. Are there any videos you look at now and think that if you could ignore the guilt of repeating topics, you would redo it with the skills and perspective you have now, such as perspective on heroes, improvements on characters, and rules to be considered when writing? Yes, there are plenty of videos I'd love to redo. For example, some of my earlier response videos with Lark, where we address stuff like hilarious helmet history and stuff like that. I'd love to redo those We might even redo one of them.
Yeah.
I'd love to redo some of my old hero analysis videos because now I know more about the characters, and I'd love to go back and rethink some of my statements on them. Like I said in the past that I didn't like Warlord at all. My stance has changed. I think Warlord can be very useful and enjoyable. There are lots of things I'd love to redo if I could, but sometimes you do need to eat that humble pie. That's why whenever I get a comment from someone saying, dude, Warlord's awesome, I go, I know that now. Like at the time, though, I did not.
I was an ignorant child.
Exactly. To both Raven and Lark, what is your favorite video game series, and what would you do to it if you had creative direction? I think that's a tough one. Skyrim was probably my favorite video game, but if I could do anything to it, I'd make it co-op. I'd make it co-op with other players so that Lark and I could go crazy.
The problem is it says series.
Right.
And so the thing is, like, I love Skyrim. Oblivion's fun. I haven't really played Morrowind, and I've never touched the original two.
Maybe
if I could control that one, I'd just go ahead and make the sixth game. But as far as like series that I'm a huge nut about, let's see. Probably the ones that I have the longest relationship with would probably be Assassin's Creed, ironically.
Yeah.
And we've kind of gone over what we do. I would really... I know I've heard rumor that that's where one of the new games is going, but I really think they missed an opportunity to go to Japan. And the problem was with that, Ghost of Tsushima really beat them to the punch.
Doesn't matter what they put in Japan now. Ghost of Tsushima beat them.
Also, I would get rid of the Isu. They're stupid.
For sure.
No more Isu.
All right, so next, Thunder Dragon 17 asks, to Raven, if you stop doing For Honor content, whatever the circumstances may be, what other content would you primarily focus on doing? Ooh. Okay, so if I were to stop doing For Honor content creation, I'm pretty sure I would lose almost all of my subscribers. But I would focus on writing and storytelling more than anything. Just being a channel that discusses writing tactics, sharing stories, stuff like that. I hate to admit it, but For Honor is what I make most of my money off of. That's why I try to branch out and do other things so that I'll still have an audience outside of For Honor, just in case something happens and either For Honor gets shut down or, I end up leaving For Honor. I don't think I ever will. I love For Honor too much for that. But still, if I were to leave For Honor or stop making For Honor content, I would focus primarily on my writing stuff. Maybe do a little bit of Dead by Daylight and Rainbow Six. Maybe talk about other narrative-driven games, but that would probably be what I do. From Hardy3000, for Raven, I know you have talked about heroes that don't make sense in For Honor, but which ones, in your opinion, make the most sense and are practical warriors? Warlord is one of the closest because his weapon set is actually pretty good. I just wish he fought better with them. Black Prior is very good. Lawbringer is very good. I think that they're more practical. They wear proper armor and are properly armed, I would say. Those would be my takes. When arguing about practicality, it's going to be down to who's properly armed, and if they're not armed well enough, are they properly protected? Lawbringer is probably one of the best that you're going to get in terms of that.
He's a tank.
Right, he's a tank. He's well armored, well armed, and Warlord is the same, I'd say. Kinsei, pretty good in most counts. So yeah, I would say those. Next is from the White Run Guard for Raven. I think this was asked before, but why did you choose Raven as part of your name? Because our surname, when translated from its original language, which we're not going to reveal here, means Raven. So our last name literally means Raven. And to both Lark and Raven, what is your favorite music genre, if you have one? And if so, do you have any musical suggestions? We like all kinds of music. We can't really narrow it down to just one.
If you've twisted my arm, I'd probably say power metal and just Sabaton.
Right. So if I had a musical suggestion, it would be Sabaton. But if you're looking for something a little bit different that you're probably not going to hear from everywhere else, I would say Divide Music. He's on YouTube.
Yep. But how does he divide music?
It's weird to say.
I'm curious how that happens.
All right, next up, from Sensu to Raven. I'm trying to become a writer myself, and I'm curious, what do you do while coming up with ideas? Do you sit and think? Do you listen to music, or do they just come to you? It really depends. Sometimes they just come to me. Sometimes I listen to a song and I go, ooh, I have an idea. Sometimes I'll watch a TV show or play a video game, and suddenly I go, oh, I just had a thought. Literally, one of my first stories that I ever wrote, Submerged, is the story about how a young man gets abducted by aliens and taken to a world that is entirely underwater, and ends up saving their race. Because
Actually,
it's a good one. But what I think is so interesting about how I came up with it, literally, I was walking along the beach one day. I looked out at the water, and I thought to myself, you know, we always hear these stories about people being abducted into outer space, but we never read about anyone being dragged under the sea to another world. Then I thought, what if I wrote that? And then I thought, ooh, it'd be kind of like Joseph from the Bible when he was sold into slavery. I'll name my character Joseph. Okay, so Joseph gets abducted by aliens who go to an underwater world. But what happens when he gets there? I don't want them to just experiment on him and all that kind of. That's kind of weird. What if his blood is and then it just turned into that. Sometimes it's literally nothing more than looking at a beach and just thinking a very weird thought. That's why I always tell people, don't be afraid of weird thoughts. Weird thoughts are the start of something cool. Next question. From Sensu again. How do you make Japanese names? Okay. Japanese names are often built, especially surnames, are built off of combined characters. Lots of names have meaning. So, for example, let's see. Yama means mountain. Karas means raven. You could combine interesting name sets and ideas. And what I do is I try combination. I try name combination. So if I said, let's see, I want to create the name Takayama. Taka can mean hawk and Yama, mountain. So Hawk Mountain, Takayama. And then what I'll do after I come up with that name is I'll say, is there anyone else with that name? And I'll do some research and I'll find out, oh, there are a few people with that name. So it's a name you could actually give someone. And then I'll go with that. Hannah, my artist friend, asked me to help create a Japanese name for a character she wanted. And she wanted it to be a name that could be used in Chinese or Japanese. I said, how about I? A-I. Means love in both languages.
What about O and U?
This is what I deal with. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I do that. And did you have a goal as a child, and did you stick with it? I had a goal as a child to be a superhero. I wanted to save people and be awesome and have superpowers.
And for legal reasons, we can't tell you if we succeeded or not.
You must never know. Oh, but thank you for the questions. Next is from Noisy Boy to Raven. Do you think there will be a Spartan hero in For Honor in the future? I doubt it. I think they could maybe go route of an assassin with low health bar, but with an all block behind their big shield, and then their mix-ups come out of that. If they added a Spartan hero, he'd probably be a heavy, if I'm being honest. Because the hoplites ain't about dipping and dodging. You know, they're all about tanking, retaliating. And then second question, how would you implement the Spartan to differentiate them from another shield-using character? Well, that's the thing. I think it's going to be very hard because you've got other shield and spear using characters. I guess the best way I would do it is have them use the shield more as their weapon than the other thing. Like the shield could be used to bash, light attack to the side. Maybe what they do is they use their shield to do a lot of movement and then their critical damage comes from their spear or something like that. I don't know. I'm not that creative. But that's just my thought on that. So thank you for the question. Next is from Sufal Walling. What a name. Raven Knight. You done plenty of videos on the heroes of For Honor, but have you ever considered doing an analysis on the non-hero units like the soldiers, archers, and captains? I wouldn't know what to talk about because there's not a lot of lore behind those is the problem. Otherwise, yeah, I'd love to talk about those.
Just give them lore.
I guess I got to try to give them
This
lore.
is Greg. He joined the militia. He is now dead.
And then, of course, there's Davis.
Not Davis. No! Not Davis.
Moment of silence for Davis. Back to it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the question, though. Rebel Umbreon. Oh, that's cool. Rebel Umbreon. I like that. To Lark. Oh, okay. I was just wondering how much stock do you put into the theory that the Thalmor from Elder Scrolls are trying to restabilize the world by disabling the various towers of Tamriel to reascend to godhood, i.e., the White Gold Tower, Adamantine Tower, Throat of the World, and others that are said to keep reality stable. I was wondering, since many pro Stormcloak players are keeping the elves from these structures as a reason to support the cloaks, though ironically, in the scenario you give, things would actually work out better in that regard.
Yeah, I've heard that theory before. Actually, the first time I heard that theory was when I released the first Stormcloak Lamentations. And I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but considering the Thalmor's philosophy and how they work, it would not surprise me if they were trying to do something along those lines. But hypothetically speaking, if that were true, then you would want to side with the Empire even more rather than the Stormcloaks, because then you could use the Empire to continue to protect the White Gold Tower. Right. So if you just abandon the Empire to its fate and have a separate Skyrim, then the Thalmor have free reign to conquer and annex Cyrodiil, which gives them access to one of those said towers. So, I don't know. There have been some Stormcloak fans who have argued with me on the idea of like, well, they might do this and this and that. They might try and go like a Charlemagne route, which I find interesting in its own right. Because this one of the nice things about, for the most part, talking with Stormcloaks fans, typically they have some very interesting headcanons to talk with about. and I don't mean that in a bad way. They're like, ooh, actually, if they went that route, like if they showed we were going that route, I'd be kind of for that. That's
right.
Really good. That's one of the things I like about Skyrim. The Stormcloaks and Imperials both are both very compelling sides.
Correct. All right, next is from Needlestitch to Raven. Number 1. If the devs of For Honor added a complete martial arts hero, hand-to-hand warrior, which faction would they fit in the most with, and what style of martial arts would be best to use against blade-heavy weapons? Probably the Wulin would be where they'd stick them. And what's the best style of martial arts to deal with bladed-heavy weapons? I would say CQC from the Marines, because CQC often uses hand-to-hand combat when in close and you've either dropped your weapon or your opponent has grabbed your weapon. I would also say Krav Maga, an Israeli martial art, which is used to kill insurgents on the battlefield. So those would be the ones. But honestly, there is no martial art that I would put over having a weapon in your hand. If you said, okay, Raven, you're about to fight this guy holding a sword. Would you rather take a sword or use this awesome martial art to beat him? I'd say, give me a sword. Like, give me a weapon. I don't want to go up against anyone armed, and I'm not armed. If I have to, I will. But if you give me the option, it's like, no, arm me. So there's no. So even though I think it'd be cool if they had like a monk who could fight without weapons, if you ask me which one I would prefer in a real situation, nah, give me a weapon.
Yeah, to quote everyone's favorite Master Chief, I need a weapon.
Exactly. And then number 2, what martial arts do you see being superior to others, or just better for any situation if needed? Every martial art created will fit for someone, because martial arts can have multiple uses. You can either use martial arts for self-defense, you can use it to keep yourself fit, you can use it to help hone your mind and body, you can do it as a means of exercise, you can do it for lots of reasons. What you make the martial art what you want it to be. For me, if I'm looking for one that is going to be effective in self-defense and combat, and I want to teach people in a basic way, Muay Thai is what I would teach. It's what I'm good at, and it's what I was trained in mostly. I've trained in others, but that's the one that I specialized in and competed with. It's very basic, easy to learn. I learned most of the techniques in about 2 months, and then the rest was repetition, endurance training, and actually getting used to it. But the techniques are simple, easy to use, and it is amazingly effective. You can just destroy someone. It's basically kickboxing, but with elbows and knees, as well as punches and kicks. You can break a person in half without even trying. I remember I accidentally broke a guy's arm. Accidentally. I was not trying to hurt this guy, but the techniques are so devastating when used properly. So Muay Thai would be definitely what I would. If you're asking me, what should I do to really defend myself well, but I have a limited time to learn? Muay Thai. Muay Thai is probably the best you're going to go with. Well, what about stuff like Jiu-Jitsu and stuff? Jiu-Jitsu is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like in the techniques, here's my problem with Jiu-Jitsu. Steven Crowder is this guy who talks about why he likes grappling martial arts more than standing martial arts. He does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. My problem with Jiu-Jitsu, my only problem with it, is if you're in a life or death situation and your opponent has a knife or something like that, and you're grappling, you may not be able to subdue their knife, and if you have them in a tight clinch or something, they might still be able to stab you. But if I'm in a standing situation and he tries to strike, I can dodge and then knock him in the head, or I can incapacitate his arm and then knee him into the gut. You're like, there are things I can do and still avoid, but if I get him in the clinch and he has a way to still stab me, I'm in trouble. That's my only argument there. I'm sure there's someone who knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who's going to say, no, what if you did this? I'm just talking in general, okay? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo or Karate or Taekwondo or any of that stuff. I don't have any problem with any of those. I've trained in a few of those. I understand their usability, but if you ask me what would be the best martial art to use in a self-defense situation overall that's easy to learn and easy to use and gets results, Muay Thai, hands down.
It's a lot of Thai.
All right. Next is from Jordan's Pond to Raven. 3 questions. What is your favorite anime? Okay, I'll break this down into 2 parts. My favorite, well, actually 3 parts. My favorite seinen, which is young adult anime, shonen, young boy anime, and shoujo, girl anime, because I've watched a lot of anime. Oh, judge me all you like.
I'm in the same camp with you. I'm messing with you.
Okay, so seinen, I'm gonna definitely go with One Punch Man. Love that. That is, I love that. One Punch. Anyway, I love that. Shonen, One Piece. One Piece. Yes, come on.
It's just overall the best.
Yes. And then shoujo. Oh man. Would Ranma 1/2 classify?
I think that could go either way.
Yeah, that could. Okay, he kind of sits in between shoujo and shonen, so I'll say Ranma as an honorary mention. But for straight up shoujo, I did find myself enjoying Ultramaniac. That was a good one.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. What about Spy X Family? Would that count? No,
that's fun for everyone.
That's fun for everyone.
Fun for girl and boy.
Anyway, on to the next one. Number 2. If you could add any kind of warrior for honor, what would it be? I'm probably going to get this question a lot, so I'll just answer it here. If I could add a Rajput hero, like from India, a Rajput hero. Number 3. How would you feel about a sequel or spin-off of For Honor that had more fantasy themes like elves and orcs? That'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe not a sequel, but maybe a DLC. That'd be kind of neat. All right, from Apollyon. Apollyon. Okay, for Raven and Lark.
I feel included.
How would you feel about a scythe hero or bow hero in For Honor? Scythe, yes. Bow, no. Scythe would be fine. I think that'd be okay. Bow hero, no, because then we're getting into range territory, and this is not the kind of game we need range.
Yeah, there's a reason why they took away Shinobi's range.
Correct. It's broken. We can't do that. All right. From Jaguar Warrior to Raven, what other warrior would you add after the Rajput?
Jaguar knows the spike.
If I couldn't add a Rajput, Apache Indian. All right, next. What is the history of the Rajput? Ooh, the Rajput were basically royal warriors from the northern area of India. Rajput means son of kings. Basically, they were defenders of India from Pakistan. Basically, Pakistani invaders show up.
Afghanistan.
And Afghanistan, too. They would fight them off, and they used very exotic, unique weapons. That's why I think they could make their own faction.
Like, if you want to see, like, they use a martial art called Gatka. Like, you look up, like, Gatka weapons, like, they're...
It's really cool, so that'd be another I'd add. And will you make a superhero comic?
Jay, talk to us.
Talk to my buddy Jay, the artist Jay. He's a superhero comic artist. Check him out. He's awesome. To Lark, 3 questions.
Huzzah!
Have you made a Lost Primarch?
I haven't given him a name or anything. I sort of have a conceptual idea to go along with Naja, like the first one that gets axed. I always thought, like, wouldn't it be cool if he kind of had like a blank Primarch? And basically, my headcanon for that is he's a blank Primarch, but he finds out about chaos way before the Emperor has any plans for it, and he says, like, no, we got to do it. We got to destroy something, and he actually falls into the arms of Malal, since Malal's big thing is he wants to destroy chaos too, and so he basically starts this big old rebellion. Basically, he's going to spark a war against chaos way before the Imperium's ready, and so several Primarchs, including Lehman Russ, who would kill him, is sent out to go take him out. But I really just like the concept of like a blank Primarch, because that would also make it mean that he was ostracized, because blanks irritate people because of their absence in the war.
Second question, will you make a series about D&D?
Possibly. What would you guys like me to do with D&D? Because I want you to bear in mind, we are approaching probably about the anniversary of when I actually started to play D&D regularly. So I am not as big an expert as, say, some of my friends. Like, I have a buddy, Kenny, who, like, he knows far more than I do. But I enjoy the hobby. I enjoy creating characters. I've created, like, 21. So I haven't used them all just when I'm bored. That's what I do. So I would love to discuss it. I would love to talk about fun ideas I've had. I can go over characters I've made, but yeah, tell me if you want that.
All right, and then what hero would you like to see come to For Honor?
Obviously, I would like to see a Rajput at some point. We share a lot of opinions here, but I would also like to see a Jaguar Warrior.
Aztec.
Yeah, Jaguar Warrior. But I'd like to see a bit of that. I would like to see a Spartan. I don't think it will happen because I think it would pretty much be a clone of Valkyrie, which is why I jokingly told you at one point that if Valkyrie ever gets a hero skin, it might be a Spartan. So, yeah, there are plenty of other, like a Mammal I thought also might be cool, but I'm not sure what weapon set they give them.
All right. And bonus, are there any stories that you've written about your special ed students? Oh, wait, not stories that we've written, any stories about your special ed students. For legal reasons, we can't share a lot of them. Because we're not allowed to talk about incidents that they've been a part of or any information about their special needs. That's the thing. As teachers, we're not allowed to talk a lot about those kind of things. I do remember this happened just the other day, actually. I was subbing for a classroom, and they asked, and one of the students came in who was in one of those mechanical chairs, and they told me I was not qualified to deal with his needs, and they ended up taking him and giving him over to someone else so that they wouldn't have him on me. I didn't mind so much, just it was a very awkward situation. But again, I can't go into all those details. We're not allowed to. So another time then. Maybe if it's something that we can legally talk about. Yeah. Next from Cathal Carson to Raven. I know I asked this question before, but it didn't get answered. If a company made For Honor action figures, would you buy them in a heartbeat? Depends on the action figure. And if so, which For Honor hero would you be most excited for as an action figure? Apollyon, probably. Yeah, Apollyon. All right, next is Driving Brit to Raven and Lark. Have you ever looked into the Stalker series? If so, what are your thoughts? And if not, I highly recommend it. I don't know anything about it.
I have been asked to do a Lamentations on it, but I know very little about it. From what I've glanced over, I think I probably will like it. I know that one of the biggest worries that people had when the Russian-Ukraine war broke out is they were afraid that the next Stalker game would be delayed. So they're just like, no, you can't do this. I've waited too long. It's like, yes, because that's the issue we need to worry about here.
Well, unfortunately, we're nearing an hour into this, so we need to keep going. All right, so Iser Goji to Raven and Lark. I'd like to know if there's any plans regarding Crusade history video, since I don't recall seeing it brought up since that poll. Correct me if I'm wrong there, of course. We will bring it back. We're just not sure how yet or in what context. I'd also like to know about any updates regarding the AC retrospective videos. Okay, Lark is working on getting through Assassin's Creed Origins. It's taking time, though, because these are long games. But we are hoping to get out the next video before January's over. That's our hope. No promises, but we're going to try. And I'm curious in regards to martial arts. Have you two sparred with each other? And if so, is it 50-50 on who wins? Or do one of you generally come out on top over the other? I did more training in martial arts than Lark.
Yeah, my martial art training stopped when I was in elementary school, and I stopped going to the karate dojo. And the karate dojo, it was fun for a kid, but it really didn't teach practical self-defense. So when we do spar, just because he wants us, to try and stay fresh on a certain martial art technique or whatever, it typically winds up like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to do this. All right, now I'm going to punch you. What? Don't worry, I got you headgear. Wear this. Are you okay? My head's ringing. All right, that's natural. Now get back up. We're going to do that again. Huh?
Yeah. I usually try not to hurt you.
Well, yeah, but it's sparring. Like, you never once I'm going to put you in the ground. It was more just like, I'm going to feel that tomorrow, sort of.
Essentially, yeah. But
nothing bad.
Next is from Edward Fontaine to Raven and Lark. What is your favorite book series, and why or what did you like about them in particular? Book series. Well, it says book/series. One of my favorite books was The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I really like that. But in terms of series, the Caiaphas Cain novels would probably be up there.
Yeah, if you didn't take the Caiaphas Cain novels, I probably would have run with those.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I would probably also say this is going to be a weird one. The Harry Turtledove's War at World series. It's basically it crawls straight out of like a pulp fiction from like the 30s or really the 40s, because basically the whole premise is it's 1942, World War II is going on, and then aliens come out of nowhere and start attacking the world, and everybody has to unify together to try and fight off the aliens. And there's 4 books in the series, and there's a sequel series I haven't really gotten into, but it's a fever dream of a book, but it's fun.
All right, next up is MK Demi-Godzilla Warrior to Raven. If For Honor was adapted into a live-action series of some sort, would it work better as a movie franchise akin to Marvel Cinematic Universe, or a TV series akin to Game of Thrones? Definitely a TV series.
Yeah.
Which actors and or actresses would you like to play for any character? Holden Cross, Apollyon, Ayu, Sagander from the game so far. I haven't really given that any thought because I've never thought about making it into a live-action thing. Although I do feel like Jason Statham could play a pretty good Holden Cross.
Yeah, he wouldn't quite get the voice down, but he has the look down.
He has the look, but we'll need to think about that more. Next is from JP Mountain Gaming. For Raven and Lark, what inspired you to make this channel? How did you two meet, and what's your favorite video that you've done together?
How did we meet?
How did we meet? It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah, we're brothers, so what happened is when I was born, our parents brought me back to the house, and then...
I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was there. Like, we're brothers. We've known each other since we were little.
If you couldn't tell by the family resemblance.
What inspired you to make this channel? I had already made a YouTube channel for a school project in college, and what happened was I was a fan of For Honor, but all the For Honor content creators on YouTube that I saw were so pessimistic and negative, just saying, game's dead, it's bad, no one cares, the devs hate us. I loved the game, so I said, you know what? I want to make good content for this. I want to make positive content. I want to say what I love about the game, and it went from there. And what's your favorite video that you've done so far? The Apollyon videos are what get me the most views, so those are a lot of fun, but, I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite.
For the Lamentations, for me, I don't know if I have a particular favorite. I'm kind of partial to the Railroad one just because it's my first, and the ideas in that one had been brewing for a long time. So I'd have to say that one's probably my favorite. I'm also a little partial to the Huga Hilarity one, even though that's not as popular, just because that's another one I was also sitting on for a long time.
Right. Let's move on. No, I won't sign your armpit says. No, that's actually their name.
An interesting, like, is that a common occurrence for you?
For Raven, what obscure weird hero concepts would you like to see in For Honor? Rajput. Rajput, that would be a weird one. Holy Crushing asks, to Raven and Lark, what has been the best videos y'all have worked on? We answered that, sorry, but we've already done that. This year, what vids are you guys most proud of? And
this year?
Oh, this year, what vid are you guys most proud of? And also, great job this year. I'm pretty sure you went from around like 18 and 19,000 to 27.4, and congratulations to both of you. Well, thank you very much, Holy Crushing. What video are we most proud of?
For me, probably going to be the Kaisar's Legion video. I just thought that one came out well.
I think so too. I am proud of the fact that I wrapped up the Heroes in History videos. I'm proud of those. I'm very proud of those. Mm-hmm. That would be my statement. I know that that's kind of generic, but I can't think of one that I'm more proud of than any of the others. Next is from Geist Draken to Raven and Lark. What would you two think of a story about your two personas, the Raven Lord and Leggett Lark, leading a Justice League-like team called the Order of the Raven that consists of personas of your subscribers? I would be down for that, except who's the enemy? What are we up against? That's the thing. We need to know what the Justice League is fighting. We need to know what the Order is fighting against.
We're waging an ill-fated war on high prices.
Of course. Thank you for the question, though. Lil Sims95 says, for Raven, hypothetically, if you do a Journey to the West, and it does well, have you thought about what other story you would do? Probably Beowulf. That'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one. It also wouldn't be as long.
Would love to do Beowulf.
Maybe we should start with that one, because that would be shorter.
That'd be shorter, yeah. Reitel... Oh, sorry. That screen went blank. Fix that. There we go. Sorry. Reitel088 for Raven, is there any historical era that you are not interested in, or any era that you have little knowledge of but would like to learn more about? In terms of eras that I'm not that interested in, I'm usually not that interested in history that's postmodern. I usually like medieval or ancient history. That's where I feel most alive. That's what I love learning about the most. It's not that I don't care about more modern history. Like, I loved learning about Bismarck. That was very interesting. I loved learning about what led to World War II. I loved learning about the Revolutionary War. That was fun, but it just does not interest me as much as learning about Roman legions and the Japanese Sengoku Jidai and the Chinese Three Kingdoms War, stuff like that. Is there any area that you have little knowledge of but would like to learn more about? Honestly, I'd love to know more about medieval Russian history. I don't know nearly as much about that as I'd like to. Russia is a very rich source of culture.
And vodka.
And vodka. Vodka may be a large part of that, but I'd love to learn more about it. So that's one. All right, next, DJ Nipper. or DJ Niper, or whatever it is, 454 says, for Raven, which historical hero would you like to see most? We answered that. We answered that. Sorry.
It's a good question.
It's a good question, but we've answered.
You know what they say, great minds think alike.
Hey, very true. Wolfie asks, for Raven and Lark, which For Honor character do you hate the most and why?
The one that kills me. Seriously. I'm going to say Aramusha.
And I'm going to say Kyoshin.
Well, the thing is, at no point have I ever fought an Aramusha, bot or person, that I ever went, I enjoyed that. That was good. At no point I ever went, yeah, that seemed fair. I totally agree that deflect would work. And my biggest beef with Aramusha is not that I get wasted by them. I do take issue with that, but that's not the main thing, because I get wasted by pretty much everybody. It's that I can't do the same things.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like I don't know, like, because technically, because I've given you the controller. It's nothing wrong with my station. The problem is purely this. But I just can't do it. It does not compute.
And then for me, it's Kyoshin because, like I've said before, his existence baffles me. His existence baffles me. What did we do? Orochi's a light spamming monster. We need to get rid of Orochi's light spam. For Honor developers, you got it. We're going to update Orochi so he doesn't have light spam. Yay! Well, introducing our new hero. Oh boy, who's he? Light spam the character.
You see, what we did was we just dissected, like we surgically removed the light spam from Orochi, and we put it in front of a storm and yelled, "Give my creation life."
I want to legit do a video where it's just me fighting random Kyoshins, and I want to do a counter of how many of them actually do heavies that they follow through with.
Take a drink every time they take a heavy, you will die sober.
Yeah, legitimately. I've so rarely... The only time they throw a heavy usually is when they want to do the over-the-top unblockable heavy, and usually with that, they're fainting it anyway. They annoy the heck out of me. And people have commented saying, oh, dude, you're actually complaining about light spam at this point in the game? I wouldn't complain about it if it wasn't a real thing with Kyoshin. Why would you throw a heavy with Kyoshin? Why would you want to? You have the feats that can turn your lights into bleeding, healing techniques. You get free access to 4 repeatable lights that cannot be stopped. Why would you even throw a heavy unless you just really wanted the execution?
When I play Kyoshin, I do, because those executions are pretty good.
But yeah, those are the two that we don't like. I mean, we still play them, and they still have good aspects to them. I'm not saying that I despise them, but playing against them, I hate it. Back to what we were reading. Mr. Voltorb says...
It's an awesome profile.
Yeah. To Raven, if you had the ability to make a change to For Honor, what would they be and why? I would change up the story. I would fix the story. I don't know how, but...
maps.
More maps. That would be another good change. Yeah. Because they need both. They need both.
Lord knows they need both.
From Skeptech11037 for Raven. You probably have answered this already, but I gotta know. Do you have a favorite mythology? And if yes, which one and why? What does it matter better than others for you personally, and so on?
Good question.
Good question. I prefer Greek mythology. Mostly, and I know it's popular.
It's all Greek to me.
Well, the stories that come from Greek mythology are so fascinating. The stories, the legends, the monsters, the creativity of it, the different gods, it's all very unique to me. It's all very fun. Norse mythology's cool, Egyptian mythology's cool, but Greek will always just have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, well, and also it helps that they wrote everything down.
Yes. So that's my answer to that. Silver Shadow 781 says, for Raven, what For Honor character is your favorite and why? Sorry, we answered that. If you're asking for a named character, Apollyon, but if you're talking about in general, sorry, we answered that. Range Assassin 86. To Raven, I don't know if you answered this before, but what got you into YouTube? I answered that. And have you ever thought about making a video with Jay like you have before with Hannah? Now, there's a good question. I want to do a video with Jay, but Jay does not have a microphone like we do, and it may be a little bit harder to arrange that. We'll try, though. We'll try. It just may not be easy. CG Soldier 157 says, to both Raven and Lark, oh, both of us,
Huzzah.
have you seen the Ohio memes?
Yes.
So what do you think For Honor or other games would like in Ohio? And would you go to Ohio?
Like in Ohio? They're trying to escape. Did you not see Elden Ring?
Is this a new hellscape? Or is this Ohio?
I've seen the Ohio memes. I really like them because in our part of South Carolina where we live, they call it the second capital of Ohio because everyone flees from Ohio and says, let's move to South Carolina. And I'm sure they vacate to other states too. But a lot of my very close friends are from Ohio, and 9 times out of 10, if I meet somebody, like, you're from out of state, aren't you? Like, yeah. Ohio? How'd you know? Everyone's from Ohio.
Who would have thought?
Eventually, I too will be from Ohio, even though I've never set foot in Ohio. Ohio is basically like the SCP of states. Florida is our crackhead friend. We love them, and we want to see what crazy stuff they do. Ohio is like an eldritch mystery, and I love it for that reason. And I also hate it, but I love it. Confused? Let's move on.
Okay. Sand Warrior of Equestria asks...
What a name.
That is a name right there. For Raven, what's your favorite Western cartoon?
Do we have a DVD set of it here?
Avatar The Last Airbender, I think. That would be probably my guess. If For Honor was a Mortal Kombat style fighting game, do you think you would still love and play it now? I do not like those 2v sides, 2v fighting games. I've never liked those, so I would not like it nearly as much. Number 3, do you think that Elder Scrolls style RPG would work in the For Honor world? It could. I'd like to see it.
I'd play it.
Number 4, do you think Centurion and Gladiator could have worked as part of their own Roman-style faction instead of as part of the Knights? Yes and no, but because the Roman legions are so closely connected to Knights historically, I think it works fine the way it is. And then, think about it. Like, if you had a Roman Centurion and a Gladiator, who would be the other 2 heroes you added?
You could potentially get some other stuff in there, but the thing is, the Romans weren't known for their wide variety of weapons they use in the battlefield. That's what the Auxilla was for.
Right.
They sort of got down the standardized fighting.
Right. And then 5, if they made an animated series based on For Honor, who do you think they should have as the protagonist, and what should the story be about? I want it to be about For Honor and Glory, the story I'm writing, and the main character will be William of Oxshire. It'll be awesome. Make that story. Yes. All right. For Lark, what is your favorite and least favorite Fallout faction?
Okay, least favorite's easy. Railroad. I made a whole video explaining my problems with them there.
And your most favorite?
And my most favorite. Some might say the Brotherhood of Steel, and I do really enjoy them, but their action, I'm not a fan. I'm gonna have to say I will have to probably, I'll get some hate for this, but I'm gonna say the NCR. I know. I can hear people typing furiously about taxes in the comments, but know that it is not because I don't love the Brotherhood. It is because the NCR Ranger drip is everything.
Yes, they do have some good drip.
Literally, the first picture Hannah ever drew for me was a birthday picture where I was dressed up in the NCR Ranger outfit.
There you go. All right, and then what is your favorite and least favorite Elder Scrolls faction?
Okay, least favorite is the Thalmor.
Okay.
Obvious reasons. They're a fun villain, though.
Most favorite?
Most favorite? You might think the Empire, but they do have their problems. My personal favorite is actually from Oblivion, the Knights of the Nine.
Yeah.
Because that Crusader drip, again, I am a fan of your faction if it has good drip.
Very true. Sam Mobile asks for Raven, what new factions characters would you like to see? We answered that. Sorry. Told you we're not going to answer repeat questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chunkier Nolf asks for Raven, would you like a For Honor 2 to be announced at the end of the original's life cycle? Would you be more happy if it was left and they forgot about the game to focus on others, Assassin's Creed, etc.? At the end of this game's life cycle, if they announce a For Honor 2, I will be ecstatic. The problem is I don't think they will, because For Honor was a hit and miss game. The biggest problem For Honor had was when they were, with For Honor coming out, they made it very clear, well, they didn't, but the community made it very clear. We're not going to be happy with whatever you do. If you add more heroes, we're going to complain. If you don't add heroes, we're going to complain. If you don't balance the game properly, we're going to complain. If you balance it properly but neglect other things, we're going to complain. The community will never be fully satisfied. They made that clear very early on. So in my opinion, they're not going to try again. They're going to say, all right, this was an experiment. We tried it. It made some success, but not enough to warrant a sequel. So we're done with that. I don't think there will be a For Honor 2. I'd like there to be. I think it'd be great if there was one. I don't think there will be. If they do another one, please contact me. I will help you with the lore. I want to help you with the lore. Moving on. A son of Horus Legionary asks, Dear Raven, I have heard you talk about 40k in some of your streams. Are you a fan of Warhammer Fantasy as well? Old school fantasy, not Age of Sigmar.
We don't count Age of Sigmar.
We don't talk about Age of Sigmar. I like Warhammer Fantasy. I just don't know nearly enough about it. That's the problem. I'm learning. I'm studying it more. I'm actually preparing to do a video talking about the lizard men. But
The wizard lizards.
the wizard lizards. But
Or the frogs.
yep. Waiting on Jay to finish a picture for that. And other than that, yeah, I'm learning about it. I just know more about 40k than I do fantasy. All right, next. Tsar Char Char, what a name, says, for Raven, which heroes has the coolest lore in your opinion and why? Some of the heroes don't even have lore. Like, none of the Ulin have good lore because they didn't give them lore. I hate that. I'm going to say Blackbriar. I think Blackbriar has really cool lore. I also like Griffin's lore because Holden Cross has a really cool redemption backstory. All right. King Dovachief says, to Raven, what makes For Honor fun for you? Like, what's so special about this game that makes you come back for more? The medieval content, the really neat fighting style. I never liked those back and forth Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter games. This kind of open fighting is really fun for me. I love the drip for a lot of the characters. It looks really good. It just feels like so much fun for me. And as a historian, it really hits me. If you could cosplay your For Honor hero, who would it be? Richard Blackthorne, probably. The problem is a lot of my For Honor heroes are female, and so I'm like, can't really cosplay them very well. I don't play female very well. 3, if you could marry one For Honor hero, who would it be?
Answer the question.
Nobushi. Sure, I'd marry
Nobuwushi.
Nobuwushi. If Ubisoft was making a For Honor show, would you want it to be live action or anime? Anime, because I trust the Japanese creators more.
They don't care. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to show some heads getting cut off. Doesn't bother us a bit.
What game or show you wish For Honor can collaborate with? You personally would say Ruby. I would say Elder Scrolls. That'd be my thought, or maybe Dragon Age. It'd be kind of cool. All right, and if you could bring back something that was removed, like voice, kill animation, or special event, what would it be? I would bring back 2 things. One, I would bring back Valkyrie's original no touching execution. Valkyrie had this execution where the guy stumbles and grabs her breast accidentally to catch himself. He looks up, realizes, oh, I'm sorry, and then she goes, bam, kicks him in the crotch. Like, it was really funny, it was hilarious, but that was on PC. So they changed it that he actually grabs her shield. I'm like, what? Come on! Like, but he touched her breast, it's so wrong. He gets punished for it, that's the joke!
Your hammer slams right into a guy's Johnson, but suddenly, he gets, as you said, he gets punished for it.
He gets kicked in the...
It was funny.
So it's wrong to accidentally, in a funny way, grab a woman's boobs, but it's totally fine to kick a man in the dick?
But it's also the other thing I want to point out there is it's like, now we can't have anybody do it. We can't have that execution. It's completely inappropriate. Now go back to impaling that guy on that spear.
Exactly. It's like, really, come on. And then also I would bring back the voice lines. Ubisoft was originally planning to do original voice lines for each characters. Like if they run into each other, like if a Nobushi squared off with a Warden, they might say something specifically, "Bring it on, Warden," or like something like that. I thought that's a cool idea, but the community would just lashed back at it so hard, like no reason, just saying, "Oh, I can't believe you're adding this," and I'm like, "It's good," but the developer said, "Okay, you don't like it, we won't do it." And I'm like, "Come on, it would have been good." And now people are asking, "Why don't they add more voice lines?" Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you people won't be satisfied. Moving on. Let's move on. I'm getting mad. I need to stop doing that. Okay. Thor Squire TTV says, for Raven, what was your first video you were proud of on your channel and why? The Apollyon versus Astria video was probably the big one because that really got me noticed. For Lark, why did you choose to make videos on Raven's channel like Lark's Lamentation?
Because I like the first Lamentations idea, the railroad video. I had been thinking about making a video for that for just forever and ever. And the thing is, I was debating with Raven, saying like, "Hey, why don't I post this on a YouTube channel, and you can direct some people towards it?" And you point out it would probably just be easier if you just put it on this channel, considering that you already helped me out with a lot of the other videos already. So I said, okay, well, we'll just do that. And that's kind of how I just started. That's kind of how the Lark's Lamentation series got kicked off.
All right, then optional questions for Raven. If you were in a fighting game like Mortal Kombat, what move would you pull off? Okay, picture this for me. I kick a dude away from me, and as he stumbles back, he falls back and his knee is bent. So I run forward, put my foot on his knee, and then use that to push my body up, and then drive my other knee into his face. That's an actually legit Muay Baran move that I would want to pull off. And then for Lark, what time period would you consider to be the dumbest time in history, not including the modern era?
Not including the modern era. Oh, dang it, there goes that option. There are several points in history that I go, oh, that was stupid, but like, I would say the French Revolution, because they just went like, it just went on so many leaps and turns. Like, we're going to make a constitution enshrining the rights of man. Next week, we're going to get rid of all of that, and we're going to start chopping people's heads off wholesale. It's just like the French Revolution is just so wacky that it's hard to be believed. Like, you wonder, like, why'd they go from king to republic to an emperor? That doesn't, like, well, it's like, if you look at what they were doing during the revolution, it makes sense. Like, I don't care who's in charge. Just stop it.
All right, next question from Ruslan Berlov to Raven. What weapon would you like the For Honor devs to add and what? Lark, would you mind going to my room and getting the weapon I want them to add?
I'm a delivery boy.
I have said this in several videos, several times, and in several ways. This. Xi'an sword, the most classic Chinese sword you're ever gonna see. It's known as the Mulan sword because it's what Mulan famously took and used. Like, this is one of the most famous swords in Chinese pop culture. It is one of the most obvious weapons you could give a Chinese warrior, known as the gentleman's sword. Very light, very easy to use, stab-oriented. You could have your own unique kind of combat and animations with this weapon. Why did they not use it? Why is there no Wu Lin with this weapon? It's a great weapon.
But it's not a great sword.
Very true.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yeah, that's what I'd want them to add. Eric Bless to Raven. Hi, man. I'm a longtime viewer, and I have noticed a change in your content. Whereas you're making more reactive content instead of more analytic content, like analyzing Apollyon or talking about the importance of Viking culture. I know that these kind of videos make less views. Like the Raven's Writing Room, Heroes in History, For Honor and Glory, and all the stories you told. I don't mean any of this malicious. I love your content, and I wish the best for you. Okay, so I guess the point you're making there is that my content has changed from analytic, where I dissect things and explain them, to reactionary. I'll tell you why that is. Now that I've finished Heroes in History and there are no new heroes to do, it's a little harder to analyze heroes historically. And there's not as much to analyze in For Honor as before. I try to analyze certain things, like I try to analyze story writing techniques. I try to analyze like TV shows and movies. I try to analyze aspects of the game. I try my best to do these things, but frankly, there's not as much I can do. And honestly, I get more views and therefore more money from doing reactionary content. It's not something I'm necessarily proud of, but reaction videos can be fun to do, easy to do, because if I find a video that is just really bad, I can respond to it and thus get more people's interest. And, well, yeah, I mean, I want to do more analytical videos. I want to go back to doing the Crusader series, for example. I want to go back to doing the AC review series. I want to do more Heroes in History. But right now, since money is still tight, and response videos get a lot of views and therefore a lot of money, I kind of got to go where the money is for the time being. Once I'm in a more, level playing field, maybe I'll go back to doing more videos for fun that I'm not too worried about not getting a lot of views. But think about this for a second. My most recent video that I released before this one was the, it was the Echo video. I made a short, almost 2-minute long Echo meme video. Not only did the video not get very many views, I lost 2 subscribers within the first hour of it being featured. You know how ridiculous that is? a 2-minute video that I put serious effort into making funny. You saw me working on it.
I did.
And I lost 2 subscribers and it barely got any views. And then when I did the For Honor and Glory chapter, it only got about 400, maybe 500 views. Even though people have been begging me, please write more of that, please write more of that. Very few people have watched it, and it's not making me a whole lot of money. Which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying I do this channel for money, but I have to consider where I put my time and energy while my money is this tight. Because if I'm working on YouTube, I'm not working. I'm not at my job. And I make money from my job. So if I am going to be on YouTube, I need to make sure what I'm making is going to make some kind of residual or some kind of, payment, if that makes sense. So it's not that I don't want to. I'm kind of restricted. That's all there is to it. I hope you understand. Mm-hmm. Jack Swanson says, to Raven and Lark, a silly question since I don't have a serious one in mind. If you two were in the Star Wars universe, would you fight for the Rebellion or the Empire? Rebellion. I mean, the Empire's fun, but...
It depends on the context. Like, if you just, sucked us into the Star Wars universe, us knowing all that we know... Rebellion, definitely. However, if I grew up in, say, an Imperial world that was relatively well treated, I might find myself being a Stormtrooper. Particularly if I work for Thrawn, Empire.
Right.
Empire all the way.
Next. Thanks for making awesome videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jack. Morto Vivo Aleatorio. I'm sure I mispronounced that. To Raven, if Apollyon meets your legend heroes, what do you think she would think about every single one of them? I can't go through all of them. There are way too many.
Maybe when you're done with the legends, that might be a good...
Yeah, that might be a good video to make when I'm done with the legends. Tell you what I'll do is when I'm done with all my legends videos, I'll do if Apollyon met them kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Apollyon ranks the legends.
Half-Eaten Calzone asks, to Raven, is there a meaning behind your name or do you think it just sounds cool? I said why. Raven is it's the translation of our surname, and Knight because we are related to knights. Like if you go back in our family tree, we have knights in the Hospitaller, and I think the Teutonics.
So, and it sounds cool.
For Lark or Raven, have you read the book series Nemesis, Genesis, and Chrysalis by Brendan Reichs? If so, did you like it? And if not, go ahead and read it. I highly recommend the trilogy. We have not read it, so we need to. The second question is optional, should you choose to answer my questions.
Well, we chose to answer it.
We chose to answer it. We're answering all of them.
Yeah, just not familiar with it.
The Gaming Pig YouTube says, to Raven and Lark, if you had the time in any medieval or ancient civilization, if you had to live in any medieval or ancient civilization, what would it be? Feudal Japan might be fun, but I'm definitely not Japanese, so I would need to go...
William Adams.
I need to pull a William Adams, earn my way to becoming a samurai.
Well, I would be kind of curious to live if I got to be like a knight or a lord, I wouldn't mind living in medieval Europe.
Yeah.
Another one, I love Roman society, so I probably wouldn't want to live in Rome proper just because that city was a mess. Mm-hmm. But maybe something like Massalia or something around that time. I'd also really like to sort of... I think I just live it, just see it, because we don't have as much documentation about the Celtic Europe,
right.
like Gaul, pre-Roman Britain, and Ireland. Not that there was a Roman Ireland, but just to sort of see, since the Celts, the Druids didn't keep down written records, I would have liked to see what that would have been like firsthand. That would have been really cool.
Very true. Next is Yagura Inazuka asks, to Raven, if you had to choose one hero from For Honor that you see yourself as, which hero would it be? Either Lawbringer or Warden. Those two I feel like embody me in a big way. Lawbringer especially. So yeah. And next is the Balaclava Bandit 21 says, for Raven, yeah, I like that. For Raven, what inspired you to make the Legend story as there are what you got me into your channel? P.S. Thanks for them stories. I decided to make the Legend videos because even when I started playing For Honor, the thing I loved is each character, I could kind of make my own story for them. I could create what I wanted to about them. They're my characters, my creations. I can tell whatever dang story I want to with them. I want to make a Viking-born girl become a warden and fight for the knights. I can do that. I want to make a lawbringer who was accepted by the samurai and made a daimyo. I can do that. I want to make a centurion who was betrayed by his lord, so he ends up going down the dark path. I can do that. I want to make a Shaolin who converted to Christianity. I can do that. The sky's the limit. And so that's what I can do with For Honor. The problem is, it's not like anyone gives a dang. So I made the Legend videos to kind of say, let me share with you these stories I created. And those took off way better than I thought they would. And I'm glad you enjoyed them. Mad Scientist asks, to Raven, what fantasy universe is your favorite? Why so much female art? Looks great, but I just wonder why. And what do you like most about For Honor? Choose your question, Raven, even though I would like to answer all. Well, I'll try to answer all of them. What fantasy universe is my favorite? That's a tough one. Lord of the Rings, I would say. Lord of the Rings is probably my favorite. Why so much female art? Looks great, but I just wonder why. Okay, there's a story behind that. So way back when I was in middle school, they were doing a production of Sleeping Beauty. And I was going to be an understudy, which means that I was just going to fill in for any role that did not have the actor to play it. Being an understudy means you memorize the entire play so that in an emergency situation where they say, this person didn't show up, you know the play, you fill in, that kind of thing. So I memorized the play. The girl who played Sleeping Beauty, I can't remember if she just got sick and couldn't come to school anymore or if she moved away. I think she got sick. But regardless of that, she no longer could be part of the play. And so at the time, I was not this big, burly guy you see now. I didn't have this beard. I was a shrimp. I was very skinny. I could throw my voice in a very high way. I could sound like a little girl if I wanted to. So they threw me in as Sleeping Beauty. And I had to wear the dress, everything. I had to play the role. It was not fun, let me tell you. I did the best I could with it, but sometimes you take what you can get. Well, I told Hannah about that story. She thought it was hilarious and decided to draw me in a joking way as Sleeping Beauty. I was a little embarrassed by her doing that, but because she liked seeing me embarrassed, she decided to do more. She didn't just draw me as Sleeping Beauty. She drew me as Belle. She drew me as Ariel. She drew me as all this other stuff. And eventually, it turned into a joke. She just started drawing me as a girl more often for two reasons. Number one, Hannah is just better at drawing girls than boys, by her own admission. And two, she likes designing new outfits and designs. And as for me, I just kind of think it's funny at this point. I'm no longer humiliated by it. I think it's funny. I think that she has very creative ideas with drawing me as a woman. So we created this character, Claire, who's supposed to be a female version of me, and we just use them in a lot of my thumbnails and art for two reasons. Number one, because it's what Hannah draws, and two, I've noticed that female art tends to attract more viewers more than male art. Jay has drawn me as a guy before, as you know. Like, he's drawn the Ravenlord emblem, the Ravenlord avatar. He's done that. So it's not like there's no male art of me out there, but Hannah just likes drawing me as a chick more. And it comes from a very funny story in my past, so that's why. Now you know the story. Lark, you cool with that?
It's your question.
And then, what do you like most about For Honor? I think I answered that one.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. General F says, for the Raven Knight, ever try an RTS? What's an RTS?
Real-time strategy, I believe.
Oh.
I mean, I think that's what we're referring to. I'm going to double check.
Check that while I read the next one. Spoopy Arg to Raven and Lark. What is your favorite historic weapon? Longsword. What is your favorite book? The Book Thief by Marcus Cizak. And what is your favorite animal? I like tigers, actually. Tigers are cool. Anyway, Lark.
It doesn't mean real-time strategy.
Okay.
So real-time strategy game.
Would, real-time strategy, I don't think I
think I made you, like, you didn't want to, but I made you touch Age of Empires 2.
Oh, yeah, you
back
did.
when I was in middle school, I forced you to try it.
Yeah, I think that was okay.
Yep. But,
yeah. Anyway, so moving on. Thank you for the questions, General F and Spoopy Arg. Grand Forge. To Raven, what is your favorite form of animation or filmmaking and why? Mine is stop motion because of all the stuff you see and it's real thing made and handcrafted by many artists over thousands of artists. My favorite form of animation and filmmaking is 2D drawn art, like what you see with Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, stuff like that. It's almost a lost art form now. People don't want to spend the time redrawing panels to create a beautiful piece. It takes hours upon hours to complete, and it takes days to put together just right. It is a very difficult process, and I admire it so much. Now everything is done with CG or computers or 3D modeling, and I miss the old 2D art style. That's just me. Night Fright asks, to Raven, who is your favorite hero in front? We answered that. Indeed. J-Man666 asks, to Raven and Lark, what's the longest last relationship you had? That's a little,
personal.
I'll give you mine. Lark doesn't have to give his if he doesn't want to. I dated this girl from Japan a couple of years ago who I was very much in love with. We had a wonderful relationship. Then she went back to Japan, and it's not that we no longer talk, it's that we've kind of grown apart relationship-wise. We both agree that if we met someone else, we wouldn't hold each other back. So, yeah, that's how that went. I haven't dated anyone seriously since. Not because I haven't been looking, but because we're in an area where many of the girls are either taken or they're not the kind of women you want to date. Let's move on. That one's a little bit of a touchy topic. Katerina Glino says, to Raven, do you think gender lock heroes should exist in For Honor? In some cases. I don't think they're necessarily needed, but I mean, I don't have any problem with them.
I want my female Highlander.
I'd like a female Highlander. I'd like a male warmonger. I'd like a... But then again, at the same time, I think female Valkyrie or female Nobushi just makes sense. So, whatever. Creatures in the Dark says to Raven, what got you into For Honor and YouTubing? I answered both of those. Good try, though. Isaiah Thompson asked to Raven, if you were in For Honor, what would your weapon be and where would you be from? I would be from Ashfeld, and I would probably use a longsword because I like longswords so much. So that would be my response to that. The Eat asked to Raven and Lark, what did you guys meet? When did you guys meet each other? We're brothers. We've known each other since he was born. Like, I was born first, he came later, and I met him that day, you know? Mm-hmm. Pandy Rex, could you maybe try to make at least one meme video for Honor? I did. I made a meme video. Guys, I'm probably not going to make any more meme videos. The last meme video I did with Echo did terribly, and I lost subscribers as a result. It's not worth the effort if no one's going to like them. So, I appreciate it if you do, but no one else seems to.
We'll probably just keep the memes attached as like little fun tidbits to other videos.
Right. TRGT says to Raven, how did you come up and find interest in the Weeb Night style that is for your channel? The Weeb Night style?
The Night of the Weeb.
Because I have a passion for Japanese culture and history, but I am also in love with medieval Crusader history. I just kind of merge the two. So, and I've liked anime for a while, so I can kind of insert that. And plus, I know that I have an audience that enjoys it too. So it just works out. It's a good combination of the two. Is that a problem? I think that's cool. The Gorillion Air says to Raven, how was your day? It's been okay, man. It's been okay. Thank you very much for the question. It really means a lot. Lord Thunder asked to Raven, remember when I asked you about that question of your opinion on Kingdom Hearts? I do remember that. Hannah remembers that.
I remember that.
We all remember that.
That was fun.
Agent Chrono says to Raven, Happy New Year. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Lord Thunder also says to Raven and Lark, have you ever played Minecraft? I have not.
I have. I actually really like it. I started playing it when I was in high school. Problem is, though, my account, for whatever reason, they won't let me play the game anymore. I don't know why. They act like I haven't paid for it. I have paid for it. I repaid for it, and they still won't let me play it. So until that gets sorted out, I'm not touching it again. Not because I don't want to, because there will be... It's like everyone has that week where it's like, I'm going to touch Minecraft for a week and then not touch it again for another year. But I can't have those weeks anymore. Thank you, Microsoft. You're awful.
Next from Vlad the Impaler, for both Raven and Lark, pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, I like both.
I like both. Dad always makes waffles.
He does, but I'm sort of nostalgic. Like when we were really young, he used to make pancakes on the griddle, and I'm gonna go pancakes.
I'll go pancakes as well. And then Mass Sentai. This is the last one. To Raven, why do you not like Harry Potter? I could do a whole video on that, and I probably will when Hogwarts Legacy comes out, and then I can play that game, and while playing it, explain, this is why Harry Potter is terrible. There are several reasons why I don't like Harry Potter. I'll try not to go too long on this, because how long have we been at it? We've been at it for about, oh my gosh, almost an hour and 30.
Yeah, we may just want to save that for...
I'll give you a brief rundown, very brief. I don't like it because I feel like J.K. Rowling created a really awesome world, an awesome setting with Hogwarts. But the story she created is terrible. The student body, the characters, Harry, Ron, Hermione, all these characters are written terribly. They start out kind of cool because in the first book and the second book, you're still very new to Hogwarts, so you're still getting enraptured in that. Oh, this is so cool! Look at this cool school! Look at all this cool stuff! There's so much neat stuff. This Wizarding World, it's so fun, and all the kids are so cute, especially in the movies. Oh, the child actors are so cute. They're giving such good performances. Oh, it's so fun, and the adult actors are really giving it their all, even though this is a kid's property. Oh, this is so unique. But as the story goes on, and you've gotten used to Hogwarts, suddenly you start to realize, some of the decisions, Harry's not that likable anymore. He's kind of a whiny bitch. Ron is kind of stupid for someone who knows so much, who's grown up in the Wizarding world.
He's useless.
Hermione is kind of a know-it-all and a brat, and I'm not too fond of her. They don't know. J.K. Rowling doesn't seem to know how to write romance very well, and even she admitted she messed up in that area. Voldemort is kind of a moron when you really stop to think about it. And then there are several things that don't make sense. How did Voldemort come back? Oh, because he used Harry's blood. How does that work? How does that love protection thing work? Did no one else Voldemort kill have their love protecting them? Or is that like a spell? If it's a spell, where did they learn the spell? What? Because Voldemort says it's old magic. Who taught that magic? Where did Harry's mom learn it? Is it just a natural thing? How does it activate? What are the prerequisites? Nothing makes sense.
I believe you have to sacrifice 2 monster cards and have the right card in your
and 3 Hail Marys, right?
Exactly.
It's Harry Potter is a lot like Naruto. Fun on the surface, but
the more you look
into it, the more you start going,
wait a minute.
So that's why.
I enjoy nitpicking Harry Potter.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll do more of that.
It's like, hey, you have a juice that can regrow bones. Yes, we do. Why is that man walking on a peg leg then?
We have a magical potion that can make you transform into someone else completely. How the hell can you not fix my eyesight?
So I can transform to any little thing. I can learn how to turn into a dog anytime I really want to, but you still haven't invented LASIX? Also, we can teleport anywhere in the world when we want to through apparition. But you're still getting your mail delivered through owls.
Is seeing why some of this doesn't make sense. And then, of course, they say guns are just weird devices that muggles use to kill each other with. Are you telling me that you're living in the 21st century and you don't know anything about modern warfare?
One of my favorite descriptions in the 3rd book when they say, like, we heard Sirius Black has a gun. What's a gun? I hear it's like a wand for
I refuse to believe that these kids, especially the ones who grew up in muggle households, don't know about World War II. Okay, you cannot grow up in London and not know about World War II.
Yeah, there's also a lot of implications, like with the magic world going under, that they just, like, because they say, if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Wizarding world kind of went underground in secret around 1000 AD. That's roughly when they decided to go and cover their whole tracks. But so from 1000 AD to modern times, you didn't intervene at all. Black Death's just rolling through Europe. Not our problem. The smallpox outbreaks that, like, devastated the New World. There were no wizards or witches in any of the native tribes that said, I should try and do something to stop that.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. We're not going to talk about this here. Proceeds to rant on it.
I warned you this would happen.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop there. Yep. Well, that is all the questions that we got. We've been at it for almost an hour and a half. Man, this went a lot longer than we expected it to. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Maybe sometime we can do this again in the future if we make another milestone. Maybe we can do this more often for other things besides just Q&A videos. Maybe we can do these for response videos or for reaction stuff. We'll have to see how this works. The camera we're using isn't that great, and
it hates us. Anyway.
Yeah, and our apartment isn't exactly the best spot to do this kind of stuff, which is why we don't normally do it. And don't expect us to be doing this for a lot of content now that we've started. Yeah. We're still going to mostly do response videos and streaming the way we've always done.
Yeah, face for radio here.
We're not the most attractive of individuals, as you can probably tell. I mean, we're not the worst, but we're not the best either.
I've seen better.
Wow, that hurt. That hurt.
I was referring to myself mostly, but...
Well, you were looking at me when you said that.
But yeah, you qualify too. Don't even look at me.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider supporting the channel via Teespring or Patreon or just watching the ads on the videos. Any amount of support really helps us out and allows us to continue making these videos. Thank you guys again for being a part of this channel. You're a wonderful community, and I hope it continues to grow. But after this video, we might lose a little bit of that community, but we promised we'd do this.
Buy your pitchforks and torches from us first before you unsubscribe.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you guys so much. And as always, we will see you in the next video. Take care.
Have a good one, fellas.